Oh, alright, people. That's the last 3 SCPs to read. I hope they're short because if there are another like 50-minute reads, I'm gonna lose my mind. But yeah, let's see what the man that wasn't has in store for us. And you guys know what you know the drill. Secure the subscribe button, contain the like button, and protect the. It's getting warm in here again. Jesus. Protect the comment section. Here we go. Okay, this is a good average read. We have a Euclid one now. Okay. SCP-1467 should be contained in a padded cell with no fewer than 3 audio recording devices installed in the walls. SCP-1467 should be allowed free use of these devices. While sleeping, devices should be kept on repeat playback. Batteries are to be changed weekly. SCP-1467 should be medicated using document 23-A, and a therapist meeting should be provided once per week. SCP-1467 should always be referred to in person as Mr. Smith, as referring to it by any other means throws it into a panic/rage state. Wow, okay, what if I just call him, yo, Smithy, how you doing? And he's just gonna be like, just like having an absolute fit, just because I gave him a nickname. This has resulted in moderate injuries to it and research personnel, and has seriously impeded attempts to interview the subject and keep its mental state stable. Foundation personnel wishing to visit or make use of SCP-1467 for experiments must seek permission with its current designated therapist. In the event of a containment breach, immediate termination of SCP-1467 is authorized. Records of SCP-1467 should be reviewed every month. At least 6 backups should be kept in different locations at all times. And here he is. He is the boy himself. Here comes the boy. Older man, apparently. SCP-1467 is a 47-year-old male of African American descent. Unless constantly reaffirming its existence, SCP-1467 slowly fades out of reality. Oh. Oh. That last one was written by Com-Sci Major. That was very heavy on theory. I liked it but didn't enjoy it. Like, I appreciate the fact that it was written in a way that it was realistic to how such a document would be written. But it makes for very dense reading. It reminds me of a real tech papers. Yeah, some of the SCPs will be like that. I always say I don't judge them, because I, as a person, I'm not a comp-sci major, computer science major. I don't understand that. But then I say to myself, like, if I would be able to understand it, I would probably appreciate it more than I do now. I still had a good time, and I still found ways to make jokes, and find my enjoyment. Like the idea that you and your friend just chill. Next thing you know, your friend next door is just like, pfft. Dude, like that's something that will make that SCP stick for me. But I agree with you that it's very dense to read, and if you have no idea about that, it's definitely not a good SCP to either A, start with, or B, get into. I think your criticism for it is valid, and I agree with them. But I do think if I understood more about computer science, I could sit down there and enjoy that SCP a lot more, and give it a lot more love and praise than I do right now. So, but now we have I want to compute a contradiction to go about, and then you fully implode. It's very funny, yeah, basically. Just let me just give it a little bit of let me just try a little bit of mouth. Let me just see what happens. And everybody else is like, maybe don't do that. So this one is called The Man That Wasn't. That makes sense now. The Man That Wasn't, because he's slowly fading out of reality. He's like, he just goes, ah! And then fades out. The effect manifests in a gradual decrease in the ability to receive SCP-1467 by any known means until it eventually vanishes. This has been known to affect objects and personnel in SCP-1467's immediate vicinity. The Foundation have been unable to determine the extent. How am I going to make a thumbnail about... Actually, I can't make a thumbnail about a guy vanishing. That's pretty easy. This has been known to affect objects and personnel in SCP-1467's immediate vicinity. The Foundation have been unable to determine the extent of this ability to a satisfactory degree, but current experimental data suggests it is located to SCP-1467. Subject claims to be a construction worker. It further claims its anomalous properties arose in a gradual fashion after the death of its wife and children in a car accident. My theory: what if he was in the car accident himself, and now? Yeah, transparency great. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, I know. I know how to do it. But I'm also thinking about the other SCPs. I was like, there's a lot that I have to make really wild thumbnails for. Don't you worry, Sonny. I'm a veteran of making editing and thumbnails. I've been at it for years. But yeah, my theory is that maybe he was in the car accident himself, and it's maybe he was not supposed to live. So death is now like trying to like take him away. That's why he's fading out. But if people like keep him here. Jesus, wrong pipe. During this time, it developed several coping mechanisms to keep its slowly degrading condition under modicum of control. Habits such as repeating its name, checking its pulse, keeping itself talking to others, drawing and writing description of itself on its body and surrounding surfaces, and keeping recordings of its voice going while sleeping all developed over time. Currently, the Foundation have found no records of subject's stated wife, children, house, car, or extended family ever having existed. Okay, now here, this is where my theory gets thrown out the fucking window, because now it's saying like the wife and children he says he had don't exist. There was never any proof. There's nothing about this man's life existed before. So the whole theory that he was in a car accident and now is slowly fading away doesn't work anymore. So the only other potential thing is that he might be from a different reality that came to ours. In the reality where his wife and children did exist, and maybe the car accident did exist. Again, he could still be. He could have still been in the car accident. And now, because kind of like how in Spider-Verse, how Peter B. Parker, he glitched whenever he spent more time in the wrong reality. In this case, this guy is being like is fading away because he's in the wrong reality. That might be what he is. He could also just be a fucking spirit that just showed up out of nowhere and just exists now. And he just has like this pre-programmed life in his head. There have been no car accidents in the claim. Oh, your theory is true, but also his recollection is entirely made up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There have been no car accidents in the claimed area at a given date. No graves could be found. The provided address has never been in use, and all relevant social security numbers remain unassigned due to what appears to be a computer error. So yeah, anything that would give him some sense of evidence that he ever existed in this world does not exist. The only evidence of SCP-1467's existence consists of a few co-workers remembering it, but accounts vary widely. As an example, construction worker described as a close friend was unable to recall subject's skin color with certainty. As a result of the mental stress the subject is under, it has developed a severe case of bipolar depression, in addition to chronic sleep deprivation. Its anomalous condition continues to deteriorate, but current estimates the Foundation will have lost it by 20... Okay, new theory. The fact that he has people that do kind of remember him, either, again, could be that that something implanted those memories of him into those people. But what if, okay, now, third theory, gotta put our theory hat on. With me, in my case, my theory afro, we gotta put my theory afro on. What if he did exist, he did all the things he said he does, But this reality, for whatever reason, is trying to completely erase him out of existence. That's why there's not right now everything else, the wife, the address, the social security numbers and all that stuff has already been successfully erased. And now only a couple co-workers vaguely remember him. And that's why also he's fading out, because something is trying... There's actually a Twilight Zone episode about that. There's a Twilight Zone episode of 3 pilots that went to that survived a fight in the sky, obviously, but then one of the pilots vanished, and only one of the pilots remembered that the other one had vanished. The other one forgot about him, and he got so angry and mad at his co-pilot, or like his soldier in arms, that he didn't remember the other one. That he was like saying like, hey, there was a third one, there's a third one. But everything, the whole world was trying to erase them out of the existence. And then, while the other pilot has no recollection of the third one, he witnessed the second one vanishing, and then realized like what he said was true. And then the last one also vanished, and there were all evidence of them ever existing is gone. A galactic conspiracy to make the sky disappear. Exactly. I think that's what this is. I think it's like the Twilight Zone episode where this world is trying to make him just vanish. Of course, in the Twilight episodes, it was indicated that they all flew into a storm, and then should have died through the storm, but they all survived, and then the world was trying to take him away. That was basically like, you know, death trying to take them. Actually doing what had to be done already, because they were not meant to survive to begin with. So, in this case, I don't think it's... maybe it's also death here, because of the car accident he talks about. It might just be the exact same situation where he was in an accident that he should not have survived to begin with, but he did, and now death is trying to like take him out completely out of everything. Again, I'm just theorizing like a madman, but that is what I think it is. Addendum 1. Please note the containment procedures only call for referring to SCP-1467 as Mr. Smith while it's in vicinity, and this is only due to sensitivity and mental state. At all other times, it should be referred to using its SCP designation, as we know that the personnel assigned to SCP-1467 have repeatedly failed to do so. Further violation will be severely reprimanded. Keep it professional, Director. Okay, here we have experiment logs. Experiment 16, SCP-1467 was restrained and made unable to speak. Research assistant Ryan and Dieter were in the room and kept observing subject. Dr. Thorne supervised from an adjacent room. Can you imagine being this SCP though? You already are paranoid that you will cease to exist, and the only way to like make sure you don't is by talking to people, is by people talking to you, it's by having things that remind everything in the vicinity about you, but then they just tape your mouth shut. I would have a panic attack if I was him. 10 minutes, 12 seconds, unable to recognize subject as SCP-1467. 14 minutes, 32 seconds, unable to recognize close of SCP-1467. 19 minutes, 7 seconds, unable to identify SCP-1467's race. Yeah, the longer he's not talking, the more like their thoughts about him vanish. 24 minutes, unable to identify what SCP-1467 is currently doing. 35 minutes, 46 seconds, unable to identify how SCP-1467 is sitting. 39 minutes, 41 seconds, unable to identify anything save the presence of a humanoid creature in the room. Research assistant Dieter started a recording at this point consisting of SCP-1467 describing himself. Subject returned to a describable state, curled up in a fetal position on the floor, no sign of the restraints on the chair in which the subject has been placed. Subsequent tests showed similar results with a minor variation in timing, tending downwards. Test conclusion: it would appear SCP-1467's condition is slowly getting worse, and it can affect others than itself. Dehumanizing is a policy, I guess. That sucks. Like, I get it, they aren't truly human because of their SCP status, but it just feels like reducing a person into an object rather than subject. Poor guy. That's sadly majority, like 90% of the Foundation's way of handling SCPs, no matter what they are, animal, human, plant, house, device, mineral, anything like that. But yeah, with humans, it's only occasionally do they not dehumanize them. Only occasionally. It really depends on like the site, as in like the area where the Foundation takes place. Because the Foundation is a global thing, and depending on where the SCP ends up in, there will be researchers that are much nicer or at least more sympathetic. No, excuse me, empathetic towards the person. But a lot of the time, whatever they are an it, not to be regarded in the context of subjectivity. Yep. A lot of the time, they will view an SCP as an it. There's one of the things that pissed me off. Like, it pissed me off because it's written in a good way. Like, it's written to make you angry. Is when the Foundation, in very early SCP logs, there was a water nymph. Basically, a woman made out of purely out of water. She was categorized safe. She was cooperative. She caused no harm. She wanted to help out with the research for the Foundation to understand her better. But then they did two things to her that put her in a chronic depression. They froze her and boiled her. And she feels pain. She feels the discomfort, the pain of being boiled, of being frozen. But they didn't care. Because they had to know if she does feel anything or not, and if there's any secondary effect than regular water, or the fact that it's regular water plus a sentient being behind it all. And after those experiments, she was depressed. She was depressed. She was paranoid and anxious, and it was described that she was at the beginning very thrively. You know, she was happy. She was like friendly towards everybody. But after that, she's broken. Yeah, experimentation is the goal. Information über alles. Oh, you speak German? Ja, genau. Das ist genau ihre. What's mindset in German? Denkweise. Das ist genau ihre Denkweise. But yeah, it sucks. It definitely sucks that they again, some of the researchers are like, hey, why are we still experimenting? There's like, we already have enough answers. We're just torturing now. But yeah, as you said, they see the SCPs as an it, and less as a he or she. I don't speak too much. I just know a few Nazi phrases because history. Okay, gotcha. Is the Foundation made to be a force for good in the canon? Technically, yes. It is, because it's trying... The whole SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. That's what the Foundation is trying to do. Secure the anomaly, contain the anomaly, protect humanity. So technically, they are a force of good. And there are also other factions that are trying to cause more chaos. There is... Dr. Entertainment that creates a lot of like children SCP, children toys SCPs basically, that are definitely not a good idea for children to have. They're like very extreme stuff. There's the Factory, which is a thing that just creates like really like random SCPs that a lot of people want to gain to use for their own greater good. There's a group called Marshall, Carl, and Dog who basically create SCPs to just give to the biggest bidder, and it's most of the time it's very chaotic. There's the Serpent's Hand, who are like a cult, who want to just use the SCP to like gain control of the world. There's the Church of the Broken God, who believe the SCPs are like a gift of God and should be free. So there's like a lot of other factions that are trying to like create chaos in the world, and the Foundation is trying to keep the world as normal as possible. That's the thing we cannot forget, because at the end, yes, they treat the SCPs horrible, they treat the D-Class horrible, but they're also in the same time, they are living a life that nobody else can do. Nobody else is allowed to know about these things existing. A lot of those things are horrible monsters, and it's a very pessimistic job to have. So they're trying to keep us safe, but yeah, the fact that they might end up being very crude or rude at the end it just comes with the territory. Oh, neat! Man-made horrors beyond comprehension is on sale this month. Yeah, legitimately, there was like a Mushroom Dog made a fucking silver platter that materializes human food, as in like meat made out of humans, that you as a person will then be magically inclined to eat. Yeah, you want to eat it. They made that shit. So like the Mushroom Dog are usually the ones who like make a lot of like fucked up stuff. The factory is like very like random stuff. It could be like really powerful or just really weird. Dr. Wondertainment is like, oh, make stuff for children, but it's still clearly not a good idea for that children will have it. Yeah, and then like I said, other factions that just fight against the Foundation because they have their own little goals in mind. Experiment 19. Hypnotizing cannibalism, nice stuff. Yep. Test procedure experiment 16 was repeated. At the humanoid creature phase assistant, researchers were replaced by D-Class personnel with prior experience in SCP testing. D-Class personnel will hereafter be referred to as D1 and D2. Well, that's very short D numbers. Usually it's like five numbers. D personnel expressed agitation at the half-perceived creature. D1 clawed against the door while D2 kept his eyes at the remain of SCP-1467. The following conversation was recorded. Assistant Random. Please describe what you see. Expletive redacted. Let us out! I don't know. There's something in here. I can't see it. How do you know there's something in there? Expletive redacted. How do you know there's something in there? I can feel it, dude. It vanished. Get them to open the expletive redacted door. I'm trying. Assistant resist. Please remain calm. It's coming for us. I can tell it's coming for us. At this point, D2 started screaming, D1 started crying. A recording of SCP-1467 described himself was activated, and armed personnel entered the room. D1 was curled up in a fetal position at the entrance. D2 was found lying a bit further away, unconscious, and was initially mistaken for SCP-1467. SCP-1467 was initially not locatable, but after approximately 3 minutes 19 seconds could be found leaning against the far wall, clutching his head in his hand, apparently suffering a panic attack. Test conclusion: is the effect contagious, or does it just lash out around itself? Dr. Thorns. Experiment 20. Test procedure. In order to ascertain whether SCP-1467's condition is contagious and to what extent, one D-Class will be assigned to SCP-1467 cell for a 3-week period. Are you crazy? The D1, D2 got nuts after a couple minutes in there. You gonna put one in there for 3 weeks? Select the D-Class is 27, male, non-violent designation. D17321. D17321 was removed and terminated with no anomalous properties arising. Therapists reported an increase in the lucidity and calm of SCP-1467 during the period and a decline afterwards. SCP-1467 has shown signs of worry and repeatedly requests information about D17321's current status. Well, fuck. So you want to tell me that D17321 was actually like compatible with this SCP and they got along pretty well? And now you terminated him? Great. Great. In conclusion, we did not order D17321 to ignore SCP-1467 1467, and though they remained suspicious of each other the first week, they seem to have formed a moderate bond by the end of the experiment. Recommend further tests. Well, how do you recommend further tests? He's fucking dead, bro. You terminated him! You fucking idiot. Experiment 21. Selected D class is 32, male, non-violent, designation D9452. D9452 was given strict orders to ignore SCP-1467. After approximately 15 minutes, SCP-1467 physically assaulted D9452, who proceeded to break SCP-1467's nose. The subject had to be restrained by guards. Test aborted. Therapists reported an improvement in SCP-1467's mental state. Failure. I have a hard time seeing how he could have reaffirmed SCP-1467's existence harder. Apparently, non-violent does not cover being shoved around, Dr. Thorns. Yeah, of course not. Somebody just tackles you, of course you're gonna fight back. That's another thing about the researchers sometimes. A lot of tests that they do are tests that, like, you would be like, duh, obviously, but they still want to do them just in case, because you never know. And that's like, can be sometimes very aggravating, because you're like, why would you do that? Why would you like think like a non-aggressive person that ignores the SCP will, you know, not fight back if he gets attacked? Because that's like, if common sense wise, you would think like, yeah, he clearly will fight back. You cannot just ignore somebody that tackles him. So yeah, sometimes the researchers will do tests that will make you go like, you didn't need to test that, because it's pretty obvious, but they will still do it just in case something else happens. In the guise of finding a treatment, SCP-1467 was convinced to cooperate with the experiment. Select D class is 37, female, non-violent, designation D361. D class has been given no special orders on how to interact with SCP-1467. So being ignored and then finally improved his mental state, he felt alive. Yeah, because like he felt alive and he got attention. Because anything that makes him realize he's there, he exists, will God help his mental state. So the fact that like fighting, which is physical contact and also visual contact, will make him feel like he's actually there. So yeah. But good thing that you pointed out is definitely the fact that he felt alive after that experiment. After 2 weeks and 4 days, D361 vanished. Where'd you go? Claire! You gotta return your books to the light. Where'd she go? It is currently unknown whether she contracted SCP-1467's condition, was subjected to it, or whether she escaped the site. No records of her appear to have been contaminated, and it appears she vanished while SCP-1467 slept. SCP-1467 remained unresponsive for approximately a day after her disappearance, solely repeating that it did not want to go. In addition to inflicting several minor scratches along its arms and legs, it remains fearful and difficult to interact with. Due to the strain on SCP-1467's already stressed psyche, coupled with the apparent localized nature of its condition, this line of testing has been suspended. Dr. Thorne's end of logs. I feel so bad for this one. This one has like is an anomaly that they cannot really do much about except just paying attention to him. He was robbed of attention and that pissed him off, but the mental state was administered after the entire experiment, so maybe that it was short-term bad, but the whole of his experience made him manifest stronger. I don't know how to interpret this, but it's a neat observation. I think you're onto something. Like the fact that, like, you know, a other human being is in the same room as him, and he's aware if he doesn't get attention, that he vanishes after that. it's like the most frightening thing for him, and also the most insulting. Because he probably also is aware that everybody in this facility should know what his condition is. So the fact that a person would just walk into the room and just not pay attention to him is it's a death sentence. It's a death sentence for him. So then afterwards, as we saw, when he got into a fight and the person fought back, it meant that his physical struggle against the person, against the D-class, was registered. It was registered. He's still there. He's still around. He's not gone. And like, conflict was a strong catalyst for his well-being. Yeah, because conflict leads to him being realized. It leads to him being made aware. So, and that just makes him feel less stressed out, because it just naturally makes him alive. He feels alive mentally and probably anomalously, because like he doesn't vanish. He will stay alive for another day. So yeah, no, I think that was a really interesting one. I think that probably will be one of my favorite.